You know, one thing I hear a lot, that Americans are dumb. And I know some of you are probably saying, well, they are. And, you know, I guess I can see why you see those, you know, things on TV or on YouTube where they're asking Americans who the president was or this or that. And they give the wrong answers. But I personally know that there's a lot of millions of intelligent Americans. And I know all of them. Not really. But I do know a lot of people who have 2 or 3 PhDs and all of these things. And they're not dumb. But sometimes we get that reputation. So I'm wondering why that happened. So we're going to watch a video today that kind of helps explain that. It's called Why the World Laughs at Americans. And this is by Holy Koolaid. And this was actually a recommendation. And it was recommended by Olaf and Carlos. Usually when 2 people recommend the same video, it was like back to back on the recommendation form. I know they want to hear what I have to say about it. So I think this is going to be really interesting. You know, I walk a fine line on this channel because I like to point out what's happening out there in the United States and maybe sometimes give some reasoning behind it. So I might be contributing to the problem by pointing out what is happening over there. And some of it is pretty dumb. So, but anyway, before we get going here, go ahead and like the video. Let's see what we can see.
If you meet somebody from Brussels, what's their nationality?
You got this, you got this.
You got Brussels sprouts.
Can you name any?
Oh God. I mean, hell, I don't even know. That's bad. I don't know the answer to that. Brussels. I probably shouldn't have said that out loud. But I'm just being honest. That's what I do on this channel.
Country
And that's probably why some of you think I'm dumb. I mean, I don't know, whatever.
on this map?
Is it South Africa?
Nope.
We have the country of Asia.
Nope. That's a continent.
What country do you think this is?
IKEA.
Oh,
what continent is Saudi Arabia in?
Wait, what continent is it in?
Yeah.
What are continents again?
Are Americans actually stupid, or does the rest of the world just really enjoy believing that we are?
What is Obama's last name?
Obama. Care. Like C-A-R-E.
Obama's last name, the president.
Care.
I am an American who grew up overseas, so I have heard this stereotype my entire life. Every single dumb American joke, including the ones that people made in another language because they assumed I couldn't understand them. So today, I want to break down the 8 reasons that it exists and how much of it is actually earned, as well as explore the real question hiding underneath. How exactly did we get here?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, is that a measure of a country's intelligence, those street interviews? Like, I wonder, I mean, I wonder, do they have these street interviews in other countries and do they just get them all right because the only place with non-educated people when it comes to things like geography, they only live in the United States? Or does it happen, you know, in other places too? I don't know. I never watch any of those, but I'm just wondering.
Number 1, geographic and global ignorance.
Where exactly is North Korea?
It's in, what, as far as on the map? Up here somewhere?
What's the capital of the United States?
California. There's no capital of the United States.
Any country.
No.
And on the entire map.
This is so horrible.
Where's America?
I would say this big one, but I'm probably wrong.
What country is the Amazon rainforest in?
No, it's not. What country? Europe.
Yep, the country?
Europe is a country.
Yeah,
Right?
okay. Yeah, I was just making sure.
Oh, wow.
I would say Africa.
Can you name 3 countries in Africa?
Nigeria. Wisconsin.
Wisconsin, that's the one. And the last one also W?
Oh, Wakanda.
Yeah. In Central Africa.
I am sure you have seen these kind of clips
God.
all over the internet, and they go viral worldwide because they confirm a suspicion that the rest of the world already has.
Africa?
That's a continent.
Oh, God.
That Americans are raised to see the United States as the center of everything, and the other 190-something countries are just background wallpaper, if you will. And I think what really...
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I saw something, I think it was this morning, where the press secretary of the United States said that the United States is the greatest country in the history of the world, like multiple times. So people believe that. It's weird.
Really drives the rest of the world nuts here is the massive asymmetry, because a teenager in Jakarta can name the US president, explain the difference between Democrats and Republicans, and tell you why an American election matters to their own economy, while 41% of Americans couldn't even name their own vice president, let alone the chancellor of Germany. They can cite off every single Kardashian, but not tell you a single sitting Supreme Court justice. But we'll circle back to that. Now, in defense of
Okay. He's going to circle back to it. So, because I have some thoughts on that, but I want to hear what he has to say about it.
Not tell you a single sitting Supreme Court justice. But we'll circle back to that. Now, in defense of Americans, there are a few factors at play here. The first of which being geography. The US sits between two oceans, isolated from Europe, Africa, and Asia, thanks to a heaping pile of gigawater. Your average American can't just drop a few $1,000s to go country hopping across the continent, compared to, say, a kid in Belgium who can sneeze and end up in 3 different countries before lunch. Geography is a lot easier when you can hop on a train and visit a neighboring country for the cost of a sandwich, when your entire country is smaller than one of our states. Seriously, you could drop France, Germany, and the UK into Alaska and still have room to plop Italy in next to them. And
I don't know, man. I think it's a big deal because, in the United States, like I know a lot of people. Well, actually, I know a lot of people in the United States who never even leave one of a state, let alone travel outside of the country. I know that's hard to believe, but I'm telling you, I know a lot of people where I grew up. There were a lot of people who didn't have a lot of resources, didn't have a lot of money. They had a hard time traveling really even out of the state. So there's no way they're going to be going to somewhere in Europe. And being here in Europe, I mean, my son is in Germany right now. He just was over there on a trip that he paid for by himself. Wasn't a lot of money. And he wasn't able to do that when we lived in the United States. There was no way he was going to Germany. And now he's in Germany. He has a friend who's there from Norway. And now he's interacting with all these people, learning about different cultures and everything. So it plays a part in it to be in such close proximity to a lot of different countries and cultures and everything like that.
Second, American ignorance about the rest of the world is largely by design. See, a population that doesn't know how the rest of the world lives is a population that doesn't know what it's missing. If you've never seen that other countries have healthcare without bankruptcy, paid vacation measured in weeks or months, and college that doesn't cost you a house, then you'll never demand it. American ignorance of the outside world is extremely useful to those who benefit from said ignorance. Number 2, loud over.
Did you hear that? I think that's really good. It's American ignorance is beneficial to those who find it most useful. So they want to keep you uneducated because if you find out about all these great things around the world, then, you might start demanding those and they got to keep you quiet. I mean, there's no they, I don't know. I can't tell you who they are, but I mean, it's the people in power, like he said.
A house, then you'll never demand it. American ignorance of the outside world is extremely useful to those who benefit from said ignorance. Number 2, loud overconfidence. This is probably what the world notices most, and thus it's the biggest driver of the American idiot stereotype. Look, everyone has knowledge gaps, and that's okay. But the American specialty is combining ignorance with certainty, loudly blurting out bullshit like—
Hold on. Only because Americans pay for the healthcare of Europe. God.
Like we are the Dunning-Kruger incarnate. It is the verbal equivalent of a man who farts with the confidence of someone who has never before shit their pants. It's the guy who has never left Utah explaining what Europe is like to an actual European. Or the tourist who walks into a bouchon in Lyon or a trattoria in Rome and asks where the real food is while searching for McDonald's. Or the loud American in Paris who, when encountering someone who doesn't speak English for the first time in their adult life, simply repeats the English words slower and louder as if sheer volume will magically install subtitles directly into the listener's brain. Now, before Europeans laugh too hard, Have you met British tourists in Spain? Or have you seen a shit-faced Australian having a stag do in Bali? Or had to elbow your way through a bus?
That's true. I mean, British tourists have, I mean, for people in Spain, they think of British tourists the way that you probably think of people from the United States. I mean, I know I have friends here in Spain that are from, well, parts of London, or, you know, they're from the UK. And so they have, I don't know. I mean, it's interesting. I'm just agreeing with what he said right there.
Seen a shit-faced Australian having a stag do in Bali, or had to elbow your way through a busload of Chinese tourists in Thailand? The nightmare tourist is a universal species. And while I genuinely can't defend this one, there is a reason why Americans don't learn other languages. And it's the exact same reason that the Brits and the Aussies don't. English, one. It's the language of business, science, aviation, and the internet. When the entire world is busy learning your language, the incentive to learn theirs kind of evaporates. It's more convenience than stupidity. And on top of that, high school and college language classes in the US suck.
They do. They're terrible. I mean, you can go through 4 years of Spanish in high school and you won't know anything. I mean, you might know some things here and there, but you won't know a lot, that's for sure.
Seriously, verb conjugation tables? Kill me now. Useless fill-in-the-blank homework exercises, and apps barking at you to translate ridiculous phrases for the 100th time, which no human since Mitch McConnell has ever said out loud before.
La chouette verte suce des couilles.
That is how you get people who studied 4 years of Spanish and can only ask you where the library is.
Right.
La biblioteca.
Nobody absorbs a language that way. Real humans acquire languages the way a kid does, by hearing it in context, in stories, in shows you actually want to watch. Number 3. Religious fundamentalism. This is something that still dumbfounds me about my country. We have NASA and Answers in Genesis in the same nation. We can land a probe on a moving comet, and we also fund a museum that teaches children that humans rode dinosaurs like ponies. From the outside, American religious fundamentalism makes the entire country look medieval. Creationists fight to teach bullshit in classrooms. Televangelists with private jets medieval. Creationists fight.
That. Faith, hope, love, God is love. Let there be light. Ask and it will be given to you. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. I mean, my class never had all that. But I wonder if there has to be classes like that out there for sure. If you go into in the South, in the Bible Belt, you'll probably find some schools that have that kind of stuff.
To teach bullshit in classrooms. Televangelists with private jets run faith-healing cons and bilk millions of people, sometimes out of their entire life savings. Politicians announce that their policy ideas were handed to them personally by God, which is a bold move appealing to Jesus when the policy is about gutting food stamps to subsidize tax breaks for billionaires. Now, before any foreigners get too smug, this is not an American invention. Jesus Christ, have you seen Israel? Brazil is home to the Universal Church, one of the wealthiest faith-healing operations on Earth. Across Africa, filthy rich prosperity preachers fill stadiums and fly private jets while their congregants starve. The Philippines has psychic surgeons who pull tumors out of you in a sleight-of-hand scam where they palm a handful of chicken guts. The UK and Australia are stuffed with ghost believers, spiritualists, and psychic nonsense. France, while pretending to be rational, basically ran on homeopathy for years, which Germany invented. And astrology is basically a global religion at this point. Pseudoscience and...
Well, isn't that interesting? So, man, he just said a lot, because a lot of Americans wouldn't know all those things that he just said. They really would think that the religion thing is almost like exclusive to the United States. I know this from people that I talk to. So I don't know. I just find that interesting that he said that. And I wonder if you thought that, or if you knew that, because some people might just think that some people in Europe, Europeans or outside of Europe, may think that it only exists like that in the United States. I don't know.
paranormal or supernatural woo are basically universal. We just have the budget and the broadcast power to make ours impossible to miss. And it is so easy to laugh at and feel kind of smug in the process. Hell, some of my most successful videos on this channel are about psychic cringe fails or faith healing fails. Seriously, go check out those after this. You will not regret it. But there's a slightly more serious side that I want to focus on for just 1 second. Think about what hardcore fundamentalism actually trains people to do.
What the hell is this? Oh, man.
For just 1 second. Think about what hardcore fundamentalism actually trains people to do. It teaches you that doubt is a sin, that questioning authority is dangerous, that faith, belief without evidence, is the highest virtue, and that skepticism is the work of the enemy. It teaches you.
Yep. Ah, man, I just have to talk about this because it's so true. It is so true that they'll say, if you say something against their religion, they'll think it's like the devil. Like the devil is like working his ways and coming through to you. Like if you question anything, that's like the devil, because if you're a Christian or you believe in that, you would never even think anything like that. Only the devil makes you think like that. It's true.
Without evidence is the highest virtue, and that skepticism is the work of the enemy. It teaches you to accept answers from authority and to feel guilty for ever wanting proof. But what if we instead ask this uncomfortable question? Who benefits from a population trained from childhood to distrust its own questions and obey anyone claiming special authority? It isn't God. If he or she does exist, I'm pretty sure they're doing just fine. The beneficiaries are the people who need you to stop asking, to blindly follow, blindly give them your vote, or blindly fill the offering plate. A mind taught never to doubt the preacher is a mind that will never doubt the politician, the boss, the billionaire savior, or the cable news hosts that they own. Anti-intellectualism isn't a side effect.
That I was never, my father was a pastor before he passed. He passed when I was like 7. My mother is super, super religious, but she doesn't really like church. So what he said there about, believing the pastor, she's not into that, because I mean, we grew up in Las Vegas, where they call it Sin City. And, in Vegas, I don't know if you've ever been there, but if you go, you'll see in some neighborhoods, there's like a church on every corner, which is so weird, because I've worked in Vegas, I've lived in Vegas, and I know Vegas there's a lot of sin that goes on there. So, but there's a church everywhere. So anyway, I say all that to say that my mother was never really into like going to church, because she just thought that was a scam. But she's super religious. So,
billionaire savior, or the cable news hosts that they own. Anti-intellectualism isn't a side effect of fundamentalism. For some people, it is deliberate strategy. Number 4, science denial, conspiracies, and the war on expertise. The US by no means invented science denial, but we sure as hell perfected it. We mass produce it with terrifying efficiency and then export it to the world. Anti-vax content, climate denial, flat earth nonsense, a bottomless supply of wellness grifters selling you anti-aging supplements, cancer cures, gluten-free water, and jade rocks for your mom's vagina.
And I get my own stem cells from my own urine. I've been doing urine therapy for years as well. You don't just drink.
What the actual hell? Urine therapy.
I just pee it in a mason jar and I drink it.
Oh my God.
Most of my decision making is intuitive.
Why don't you eat your shit? I'm pissing out the toxins that I brought in. Why would now that go back in? And if the case were true, why wouldn't our dicks be longer so we could just drink it out of the hose?
That's a great fucking question.
Because maybe you shouldn't be drinking your piss.
I think what stings most
was good. Where did you find that? That was funny.
Is that the United States launched the computer revolution. We lead the world in AI. We split the atom. We put man on the freaking moon. And yet a meaningful chunk of this same great nation has doubts about the shape of the earth. Again, not unique to America. Jesus Christ, some of the conspiracy theories.
I think that came from like almost like how America was formed, that they just wanted to be different. And they encourage you to be different and think differently and all of those things. And so some people just take that to the extreme and they don't conform to any idea. They just think differently like that guy. And that's in a lot of circles is like acceptable. Which is interesting and weird.
Of the earth. Again, not unique to America. Jesus Christ, some of the conspiracy theories that I have had Uber drivers rant off to me in England and France are freaking nuts. But Americans seem to have somehow weaponized the seemingly positive phrase, do your own research. On its face, that sounds great. Think for yourself. Question things. I'm a skeptic. I freaking love that. But watch how it actually gets used. Do your own research rarely means read and understand the studies. It means distrust every single expert who spent 30 plus years learning the thing. And instead, trust some guy on YouTube with a ring light and a supplement discount code. See,
and what they'll do a lot is they'll tell you that they know something because they've done their own research. But, like he said, instead of trusting the expert that's been doing this for 30 years, like they Googled it or looked it up on YouTube, which I'm not knocking YouTube. You're on YouTube now. So, but you know what I'm saying? Like that's kind of how it works over there. They do their own research, but they don't consider where those sources come from.
Experts are trust some guy on YouTube with a ring light and a supplement discount code. See, experts are inconvenient. A climate scientist is inconvenient to an oil company. A virologist or epidemiologist is inconvenient to someone selling you miracle cures. A historian is inconvenient to a politician rewriting the past. If you can convince an entire population that all expertise is just elitist opinion, that every credential is some kind of conspiracy, you've performed genuine stage magic. You have made people impossible to inform, and a population that can't be informed can't be warned. They will cheer for the very thing that is hurting them, because the only people who could actually explain what's happening have already been labeled as liars.
That's true. You might find this hard to believe, maybe not, but in the United States, there are millions of people who think going to college is bad, because that's where you get radicalized as a liberal. Like every college, like college education, you shouldn't do that. And like for example, when I went to college, it was the first time I met somebody that was not from the United States, and he was from Pakistan. And I just remember, I think I've told this story before on this channel, but I just remember sitting in a Denny's restaurant at like 2 a.m, just talking for like hours. We were just talking and talking. And I just had this realization that he was from a country that he was Muslim. And in my mind, like he was going to hell. Like I had a hard time with that because I just couldn't get over that. He was like the nicest, still is the nicest guy that I probably ever met. I mean, sorry to all my friends out there, but he was just a great guy. And I just had a hard time with that. And I remember having a conversation with my mother, and of course, what does she think? Well, because you went to that school, if you just wouldn't have gone to that school, you would have never met that guy. You would have had a different view about Muslims and all this kind of stuff. But, that is kind of true, what he's saying, and how, what they think about college in general and education and people that are smart and everything. Like they just think that you're, wasting your time.
The only people who could actually explain what's happening have already been labeled as liars. The war on expertise is very much a hostile takeover of reality, which is wildly profitable. Number 5, Imperial measurements. Okay.
I just did a video on this. He's smiling too. Uh-oh. I just did a video on this, and people will give me a hard time because I was like, I had to look up what Imperial was. Imperial measurements. I'm just being honest. I think sometimes I'm probably too honest on this channel because I know some YouTubers out there that they're not being honest. But I'm just being honest because I don't know. I figure if you like me the way I am, you'll subscribe. Subscribe. Okay, anyway.
This one is kind of low-hanging fruit, but
Yeah.
I am picking it anyways because it is just beautifully absurd. America uses ounces and pounds and conflicting types of tons. We use gallons and a temperature scale that's not particularly pegged to anything. For distances, we use inches, feet, yards, and miles. The entire thing is so weird and arbitrary that it feels like it was designed by a slightly drunk wizard who was trying to measure a giraffe. Meanwhile, most of the planet uses metric, which is logical, scalable, and built on powers of 10. It is clean, and it makes perfect logical sense. When you point this out, the American defense of Fahrenheit is always the same. Well, 100 feels hot, and 0 feels cold, even though it is completely arbitrary, and 0 is 32 degrees below freezing. We put humans on the moon, came home, and measured the achievement in yards, or the distance from the tip of King Henry I's nose to his outstretched thumb. But to all of you smug Brits watching, you are not on the metric system either, are you? You still drive in miles, you still order pints, you buy fuel in liters, but you measure your own body in stone, which is based off of a rock? So before you dunk on us, maybe finish switching your own country over first. Glass houses, lads. Number 6, celebrity worship and manufactured distraction.
Oh man, dang, he's coming with some good ones. Okay, I can say that I don't do celebrity worship. For sure. If you know, on our other channel, Greg and Lisa React, people make fun of us all the time because we don't remember people's names. Because we've never been into celebrity worship. Like I used to drive cars, like limousines, stuff like that, in Las Vegas. So I've seen all kind of famous people. And I worked in. I was a bellman. I worked in one of the casinos. I did valet. I did all those things. So I saw tons of famous people, like Michael Jackson's sisters, like Rebe, BB King. I mean, you can go down a list of a whole bunch of athletes because in Vegas, of course, they have all the like. When the NBA did their negotiations, all the players would go there. So, I saw all these famous people. They've given me tips, everything. So I never get like super excited whenever I see them. So I've never been into celebrity worship. Like I really don't care. But if I did see Dave Matthews, I might lose my mind. Okay, there's that. But now in the UK, I don't know. If I go to the UK and if I see Carl or David Mitchell or Richard. Richard, you can see back there, where over there, or Richard. If I see Richard Ayoade or Stephen Fry or somebody like that, okay, I might go a little crazy. But I don't know. Anyway, I'm just rambling now. I'm just going off on nothing.
I have to physically constrain myself on this one because it makes me genuinely want to deep throat a shotgun. But in the words of Enlightenment poet Slim Shady, hold your nose because here goes the cold water. Somehow Americans can recite the entire Kardashian family tree, rank every season of Jersey Shore by drama level, and tell you the exact contract details of their favorite quarterback, but you ask the same person to name their own vice president, find Iran on a map, or split a dinner bill 3 ways without using their phone, and crickets. We have tabloids at every single checkout counter. We've turned watching strangers fight in a hot tub into a national pastime. We literally elected a scum of the earth kitty fiddling reality TV star billionaire serial felon con artist twice, and our politics is now indistinguishable from celebrity gossip, complete with feuds, merch drops, and season finales. Now, the lazy take here is Americans are shallow, but that's not it. See, distraction is a product. It is manufactured on purpose at industrial scale, and it is sold to you for the price of your attention. The Romans figured this out 2,000 years ago. Bread and circuses. Keep the population fed just enough and entertained constantly, and they will never notice who is robbing them. All we did was upgrade the circus. Now it is an algorithm in your pocket, engineered by the smartest people of a generation, whose entire job it is to keep you scrolling, outraged, and emotionally invested in the lives of people who do not give a shit about you or even know that you exist. Because a population glued to celebrity drama is a population not reading the bill that just passed, which took their rights away. A population doom-scrolling sports trades and reality show feuds is not organizing, protesting, unionizing, or asking why the rent just doubled. The distraction is a feature, not a bug. It's the most successful product American culture has ever built, and it is running exactly as designed. And again, this one isn't unique to America either, to be fair. The whole world is on the same phones now. But we did build the machine and export it. And billionaires and nefarious politicians around the world are watching and taking notes.
Man, I hear what he's saying. I do agree with a lot of what he said. But I mean, I don't, man. Like, I think that, you know, from the beginning of time, like people, well, I shouldn't say that. From as long as I can remember in the United States, like people they look for entertainment. Like they almost look for entertainment to get away from, you know, the real life of whatever is happening. And, you know, there's a lot of money in it. And just speaking of sports, and I know that, you know, like some leagues over there are way more successful than others because of how they market and how, you know, the people that they get to watch. And I just don't think that the majority of people in the United States would treat politics like sport. Like I don't think that would happen. They don't find that as interesting, but which is so weird because then you hear all the time that people talk about politics all the time. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I hear what he's saying, but I'm just thinking of like being here and entertainment's a big deal. When we lived in Malaga, you know, they had the red carpet out and they had all of the movie stars because Spain has a pretty big like movie television industry. So, you know, there were like thousands of people out there looking and wanting to get pictures of people and everything like that. So, and I know that when I go to the UK, I'm going to be looking for somebody. And I know a lot of people in the UK know a lot of people and want to find famous people and things like that. So I don't know. I hear what he's saying, but I also think, no, I hear what he's saying.
Verse 7, gun culture and manufactured fear. To most of the developed world, American gun culture is fucking insane. And it is. Yeah. School shootings on a recurring basis. Children running active shooter drills. Bulletproof backpacks on the back-to-school shelf. Politicians wearing little AR-15 pins like a second flag. And arming the algebra teacher like the math department is about to ship out to Fallujah. Now, I'm not going to pretend here like every country has an identical version of this, because they don't. Well, except for maybe Somalia or something. This one is more of a distinctly us problem, and I won't insult you by both sidesing it. But let's look at the engine underneath this, because it's the same engine running everything else that I have already mentioned. Fear is the most profitable emotion there is. A frightened person buys a gun, then a second gun, then the home security system, the supplements, the gold coins, the Jim Baker emergency food buckets. They deck out their doomsday prepper bunkers. They vote for the politician who promises to protect them from the monster of the week. Fear sells. Fear wins elections. Fear shuts off the thinking part of your brain like that. And just watch where this fear inevitably gets targeted. Never up. Never towards the people at the top who are rigging the game and stripping away your benefits and your rights. Always sideways and down. I don't want to paint the left like there's some blameless angels here, but in this area in particular, right-wing politicians are particularly nefarious. And they're all running the same playbook. Blame the immigrant. Blame the minority. Blame anyone poorer and more vulnerable than you. Gay people, trans people, unions, the teenager who just got an abortion, the black woman on food stamps, while the people who are actually emptying your pockets, who receive billions in tax subsidies, sit comfortably at the top watching us squabble. And when I say that this playbook is being used everywhere, I mean everywhere. I was in Warsaw during their Independence Day, and it has basically become an anti-immigrant Nazi rally at this point. Sao Paulo shuts down its main avenue every Sunday and has a far-right march. Even South Africans are rioting and are being whipped up into a xenophobic panic against immigrants. And even the people in the comments under these videos don't seem to realize who is actually benefiting from this distraction. A scared population is a controllable population.
I wanted to stop it right there because that is a powerful statement. And, you know, people ask all the time, how did Donald Trump become president? And I think that he stoked fear. I remember his first, I don't think it was his, it was like his acceptance speech at the Republican convention. After he spent the whole time talking about how horrible everything was in the United States, he literally said that I alone can fix it. So it's like he whipped up all these problems and made your enemies his enemies. So that way you thought that, well, there's somebody who's actually fighting for what I believe in. I think that's how he came to power. But anyway, I think that was a very important statement that he said.
From this distraction. A scared population is a controllable population. It is one that doesn't organize, unionize, or fight back because it is too busy arguing about bathrooms, drag queens, wedding cakes, a migrant caravan that's perpetually 2 weeks away, woke candy, red Starbucks cups, or whatever the latest panic of the week is, beaten like a piñata until the next one shows up. It is a population that will shut off its brain, hand over its rights, and hand over its money to the very people who are stoking the fears, keeping them paralyzed. Number 8, defunding education and keeping people stupid but useful.
Wait, he didn't really talk about guns. He said number 7, but he didn't really talk about guns and the gun culture and why it exists and how it came to be and everything and how it like permeates everything. It just takes over, I think, in the United States right now. Good. I mean, well, like, you know, a lot of like the gang violence and stuff like that happens out there. Guns are glorified on television, on movies, and I know there's some people watching this who might think they would never have a gun. I've never had a gun, but before I left, I was seriously considering it because I lived in Texas. Well, I guess right before we left, we were in Washington, but still, I mean, you just get to a point where it's like you just start thinking everybody has a gun, and you know, and you start hearing stories of people break into houses and do all these things, and you want to have a gun. And so I know a lot of people who have guns. I'm not one of those that believes that all guns should be taken away, although I wouldn't be opposed to it if it were, because I'd rather have no guns. But anyway, I just kind of wanted to say that a little bit because he didn't really touch on gun violence. And I have, unfortunately, a lot of stories, history with guns, family members that have been shot, friends that have shot people. I mean, I'm not like obviously a gun violent. I'm not in a gang or never was or anything like that, but I sure did grow up in neighborhoods that had those. So anyway. Okay, I just want to talk about guns. Like, not. Anyway, I just need to go because I'm just like digging a hole deeper and deeper here. Let's continue, shall we?
Number 8, defunding education and keeping people stupid but useful. If we put all of this together and add it up, we get a population that doesn't know how the rest of the world lives, that has been trained to distrust its own questions, a population that treats expertise as elitism, but views confident ignorance as truth, a population which is drowning in distraction and steered by manufactured fear. These are not unrelated problems. The people who actually own this country do not want a population capable of critical thinking. Critical thinkers are a threat. They sit around the kitchen table and start doing the math on how badly they're getting screwed. Those at the top want obedient workers, people just smart enough to run the machines and do the paperwork, and just dumb enough to quietly accept it. George Carlin said this cleaner than I ever could.
They'll get it all from you sooner or later because they own this fucking place. It's a big club and you ain't in it.
Just before the last election, I put out a video warning about Project 2025, the 900-page document published by the Heritage Foundation outlining the GOP's plan. The very first sentence of its chapter on education says that the Federal Department of Education should be eliminated. Not reformed, eliminated. It calls for a phasing out of the funding that flows to schools in poor neighborhoods. It targets Head Start, the program that feeds and teaches the youngest, poorest kids in the country. And this isn't some hypothetical boogeyman. Since Trump came to office, the department has been getting dismantled in real time. Its functions have been shipped off to other agencies, with the president openly saying that he wants his education secretary to put herself out of a job.
I think that, I mean, that's stupid, in my opinion. But I think he's just consolidating power by getting rid of everything. Like any department that can think independently of the president, he doesn't want that. So that's his way of consolidating powers by getting rid of everything and putting him in power to make every decision that there is. I mean, if he had it his way, he'd run the Supreme Court. He'd run everything. He'd run every state, every election results, every election committee. Like he would do everything. So I don't know.
President openly saying that he wants his education secretary to put herself out of a job. Killing it outright still takes an act of Congress, but the intent could not be louder. Now, connect that last wire. Why would anyone want to gut public education in the richest country on earth? Why defund the one institution whose entire job is to make citizens harder to fool? Well, an educated populace is the single greatest threat to people who profit from your ignorance. A kid who learns history can recognize a con that she's seen before. A kid who learns science can smell a grift. A student who learns to read critically can read a congressional bill and see exactly whose hand is in his pocket. That kid grows into the precise adult that the political architects are afraid of. They want you stupid because it's profitable. Just smart enough to run the machine, too distracted, too scared, and too uninformed to ever question who built it. I think that there was a time.
Well, that's a little different than what I was saying. I mean, I understand what he's saying. And I just with our current president or with the current president over there. Yeah. Maybe, but it just seems to me that it's not that deep. It's more for selfish reasons. But kind of what he's saying is people being selfish, that they want to keep you stupid and ignorant. So okay, I can buy what he's saying, but I also think it's a little bit to do with what I was saying.
When the rest of the world and too uninformed to ever question who built it. I think that there was a time when the rest of the world watched cringy videos of Americans saying you're doing dumb things and they just laughed and that was it.
Right. Congratulations, Canada, on legalizing staplers.
But I don't think that they find it as funny anymore. They're watching the wealthiest, most powerful nation on earth get absolutely gutted. And honestly, it scares them because if it can happen to America, it can happen anywhere. All right, deep breath, because I refuse to end this video on such a depressingly negative note, with you feeling hopeless or perhaps just a little superior. That feeling is a trap too. All of that keeps you scrolling and doing absolutely nothing. So here's the truth that nobody is selling because there's no money in it. But it is the most important lesson that I have ever learned, and I discovered it entirely too late in life. Intelligence is not fixed. It is not a number that you're stamped with from birth. Right. Your brain isn't a fixed size container. It is a muscle, and it grows with use at any age for anyone who is willing to put in the reps. Every single thing that you do not understand right now is something that you are one decision and just a little bit of honest effort away from understanding. The more you push and stretch your brain just a little bit every single day, the easier it gets and the faster you learn. But I'm not talking about doing dumb little Sudoku puzzles. I'm saying actually go out and learn useful skills, learn how the world works, and learn how to think critically. When I was 17, my science education was less than worthless. And I swear I felt like the dumbest person in every single room that I set foot in. And now I'm running my own business. I'm interviewing some of the smartest people in the world. I'm speaking internationally at public conferences and creating videos on everything from astrophysics to archaeology to biochemistry. This is the genuinely exciting part. The greatest library in human history is in your pocket right now, or in your hand if you're watching this video on your phone. The exact same device that has been feeding you outrage and reality drama can teach you economics, history, a new language, using LingoPie, of course. You can learn how your own government actually works and how to spot a scam while it is happening to you. You can watch entire semesters of college courses from Harvard or Yale for free on YouTube right now. YouTube doesn't care which one you pick. The algorithm will happily feed you nourishment instead of junk. You just have to choose it on purpose. Think of it like food. Doom scrolling is empty calories, it kills time, but it leaves you weaker than when it found you, craving the next dopamine hit. But you are allowed to change your diet. Not what to think, how to think. Curiosity over certainty, questions over outrage. The slow, unglamorous, deeply satisfying work of becoming a person who is very, very hard to fool. And that is one thing that those pulling the strings can't stand. A curious, informed, critical thinking public is the exact thing that this entire machine was built to prevent. So become that person deliberately. It is the most quietly rebellious thing you can possibly do. Let's stop being American idiots and take our country back. If you're not sure where to start, I have a massive catalog of educational content.
We'll stop it there. So, man, That was a good video. I mean, any of those videos that get you thinking, they serve an important purpose. Kind of like he was saying, you got to make your own decision, your own choice to learn more and be more. So, but I can see why he says, I'm just trying to think that he answers the question of why Americans are being laughed at. Yes, probably. And I know that there's I probably made some statements in here that people are going to think I'm dumb, which is all right. That's okay. You're entitled to your opinion. But I thought that was a really good video. I always sometimes struggle with how it's weird because I left the United States for a reason, but at the same time, it's like you want to do something about it, but all I can do is just now, because I'm not going back. All I can do now is just put out videos like this and have people comment and interact, and hopefully I can just get a few Americans to see that there's other things out there in the world. So that was a good video. Hopefully you liked it. If you did, then hey, subscribe to the channel, man. It's easy and it's free. My name is Greg. I'll catch you on the next video. Peace.